Did you know that there are over 5 million podcasts out there in the world today? And guess what? Yours could be the next big hit. Hello, and welcome to Podcast Your School, the series where you learn how to make your very own podcast. At Podcast Your School, we'll go over some of the most important steps of podcast production, making sure you're well equipped before picking up your microphone and pressing record. During this series, we'll cover topics like editing, interviewing, and writing for sound. But in this first lesson, we'll talk about some of the different types of podcasts, so you can pick the one that feels right for you. Here's what we'll go over today. First, we'll discover talk podcasts and understand how casual conversations can turn into entertaining shows. Then, we'll learn how to create engaging conversations with inspiring guests with interview podcasts. With solo podcasts, we'll find out how to captivate an audience with just your voice. We'll go over news podcasts and explore how to cover trends or events in a fresh and exciting way. And finally, we'll uncover the art of storytelling through real-life narratives with documentary podcasts. All right, let's dive into our first type of podcast, the talk. Talks, sometimes referred to as conversational podcasts, are a type of podcast where a group of people have a conversation about something that interests them or they know a lot about. It could be a group of friends, colleagues, or couples that talk about anything from sports to astrology. This type of podcast is probably the most common and one of the easiest ways to get started. Talks are different from a classic interview by having a much more evenly distributed speaking time between the guest and the host. They are more chatty in their form and sound far more like a dinner party than an interrogation room. As a listener, you should feel like you're part of the conversation, and you're often encouraged or asked directly to comment or react on social media. The primary focus is to create a comfortable atmosphere. Good company is the core of the talk. We'll talk much more about this type of podcast in a later lesson. For now, this is what you need to know. But what if you want to create a podcast that focuses more on a single guest and on sharing knowledge? That brings us to our next type, the interview podcast. The interview podcast is a classic format that you've probably come across a few times. You might have listened to your favorite artist get interviewed on a couple of podcasts, or perhaps it's a nice host you're following. This type of podcast is all about bringing in guests that have knowledge, experience, or an interesting story to share. The host takes the role of a curious listener, guiding the conversation with thoughtful questions. Unlike a talk podcast, where everyone might be chatting freely, interviews focus more on the guest's insights and experiences. Think of it as a one-on-one conversation where the goal is to uncover something fascinating or valuable about the guest for the audience. And interview podcasts are super versatile. You can feature experts on specific topics, talk to everyday people with unique experiences, or even interview celebrities. We'll talk more in depth about how to conduct an interview in a later lesson. For now, interview podcasts are all about bringing in unique perspectives. But what if you'd rather fly solo and create something all on your own? Let's talk about solo podcasts. If you like the idea of running the show on your own, a solo podcast might be perfect for you. These podcasts consist of just one person running the show and keeping the listeners entertained throughout the whole episode. Imagine you're having a one-on-one conversation with your listeners. Even though they can't talk back, the tone should feel friendly and personal, as if you're speaking directly to them. And besides that, solo podcasts are super versatile. You can teach something new. Are you passionate about science, history, cooking, or something else? Share your knowledge with your listeners. You can share your experiences. Talk about your life, your challenges, or your successes to inspire others. And you can tell stories. Bring your audience into a detailed fictional or real-life narrative where they will hang on your every word. With solo podcasts, you don't have friends to create a nice atmosphere or an expert to share new knowledge. So the content is key. If what you're saying is exciting, technically you only need a microphone and the confidence to put your voice out there. Think about your favorite YouTubers that talk directly to the camera. That's the vibe here, but in audio form. So, if you've got a unique perspective, a strong voice, or a passion for storytelling, a solo podcast might be your perfect fit. Another exciting type of podcast is the news podcast. You might think, why make a news podcast? Don't we already have the radio, TV, and internet for that? But here's the cool thing. News podcasts let you take a deeper dive into current topics you might care about. With a news podcast, you can focus on what's relevant to your school, community, or interests. News doesn't have to be big global issues, but can be very local stories. For example, you could cover school events, local sports, or even trends on social media. It's a chance to dig into stories that matter to you and share them in a way that makes them interesting for your listeners. Plus, creating one helps you stay updated on topics and sharpens your research and communication skills. If you like the idea of being the person people turn to for the latest updates, a news podcast could be a perfect choice. But what if you want to tell a deeper, more immersive story? Let's talk about documentary podcasts. Documentary podcasts are a powerful way to tell real-life stories and explore topics in depth. Think of them as an audio version of a Netflix documentary, except you're the one creating it. You can focus on issues, events, or people that inspire you, like environmental projects at your school, the history behind your neighborhood, or unique hobbies your classmates have. It's all about finding a story worth sharing and bringing it to life. These podcasts often include a mix of interviews, sound effects, and narration. And you can also experiment with structure. Maybe your podcast builds up to a surprising twist, or takes your listeners on a journey they didn't expect. Documentary podcasts are great if you enjoy exploring perspectives and uncovering hidden details about the world around you. They're not just about telling stories, they're about helping people see things in a new light. If you love digging into a topic, being creative with sound, and telling immersive stories, a documentary podcast is the perfect way to inspire your audience. Now, before we wrap up, let's review some of the most important takeaways from today's lesson. Today we've explored 5 unique podcast types, each offering exciting possibilities. Talk podcasts create a lively, casual atmosphere, perfect for easy conversations. Interview podcasts let you bring in guests to share fascinating stories or insights. Solo podcasts are all about your voice and passions and let you connect personally with your audience. If you love exploring current events or trends, news podcast is perfect to deep dive into topics that matter. And documentary podcasts focus on storytelling, sound design, and real-life narratives. And the most important takeaway? Choose a format that fits your interests and the stories that you would like to share. When you're excited about your podcast, your listeners will be too. Great! That was all for today's lesson. Now you know about the different types of podcasts and can begin to consider which type suits you and your interests the most. See you in the next lesson. Bye!